Hello, my name is Yusuf, and in this video we are going to design a calendar for our blog and website using HTML5 CSS3 and JavaScript. For this project you can use any text editor like SublimeText, TextMate, Coda, gEdit, Notepad++, etc. But for this project I'll be using Brackets. Now Brackets is an open source software which you can download it from their website brackets.io. The link is in the description. For this project we'll need three files: index.html, script.js and style.css. This is what we are designing in this project. It contains a div calendar container which contains the calendar, and it consists of a div which has an ID calendar header which includes the header, which is actually a span having an ID calendar month year. And then we have another div which is the calendar dates. Now it includes a table which is created using JavaScript, which we'll see in a moment. And this table has got 6 rows. The first row is for the first letter of the days, like Sunday S, Monday M, and so on. And the remaining 5 rows are for the dates, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And there are 7 columns. Alright then, let's code. Alright, first we'll create the doc type, HTML. Now we'll create the HTML tag. Inside the HTML tag we have the head and the body. Inside the head we'll have the title, which is calendar. Now we'll include the JavaScript and CSS file. So for that we'll write link type. This one is for style sheet, rel style sheet href sheet.css, and for the JavaScript we write script type text slash JavaScript src script.js, and that's it. Alright then, time for us to write some JavaScript. So open script.js file, and now we are gonna create a function which will be called when the page loads. So for that we'll write window.onload equal to function. Now inside this function we'll create an object of type date. So for that we'll write var day equal to new date. Now we need an array that holds the name of the months. So for that I'll go ahead and write. Okay, so now we need the current month. For that we'll write var month equal to d dot get month. Now d is an object of date type, and I'm calling the method getMonth, which will return a value from 0 to 11, where 0 is for January, 1 is for Feb, and 11 is for December. To get the current year we write var year equal to d dot get full year. This will return 2014. Now we need a variable that will store the first date in the format month, date, year. So we'll write var first date equal to month name. I'm calling the month name array. Month stores the index of the current month, space 1, which is the first date, space current year. Now this will store something like this: September 1, 2014. Okay, so next we need to find the name of the day. Now if you check the calendar, you'll see that 1st of September was Monday. So how do we get Monday? For that, we write var temp equal to new date, and we pass as the parameter first date. Now this will create an object which will store a value something like this: month sep 01 2014 ... something something something. So how do we convert object into string? Well, JavaScript has got a method for that. We write to date string. This will convert month sep 01 into string. Okay, so we are interested with the first 3 letters. So for that, we write first day equal to temp dot substring 0, 3. Now this will give us month. Now we create an array day name that will contain the first 3 letters of each day. Now we'll find the index of first day in the array day name, and we'll store it in a variable day number. So for that, we'll write var day number equal to day name dot index of first day, and this will return a value 1 because Monday is at index 1. Remember, array indexing starts from 0, so 0 is for Sunday, 1 is for Monday, 2 is for Tuesday, and so on. Alright, so now we find the number of days in the current month. For that, we write var days equal to new date, and we pass as parameter year month plus 1, 0. Now note one thing: the variable month stores a value between 0 to 11. So if we want a value from 1 to 12, we have to add plus 1. Now this will return a value something like Tuesday sep 30 2014 something something something. But we are interested in this value, which is the date, the last date. So to get the last date, we have to call a method getDate. So this will give us a value 30, which is actually the total number of days in the current month. Okay, so now it's time for us to create a function that will build the calendar for us. So we'll write function get calendar, and we'll pass as parameter day number and days. Now function will return the calendar as a table. Now if you look at the calendar, you see it consists of 6 rows and 7 columns, and the first row consists of letters, Sunday S, Monday M, and so on, and the remaining 5 rows consist of numbers and blank spaces. So to first create the table, we have to write var table equal to document.create element within quotes table. Then we create the first row. For that we write var tr equal to document.create element within quote tr. Now we create the first row for the day letters. So we're gonna first write a for loop which will run from 0 to 6. Inside this for loop, we'll create a table data td element. For that we write var td equal to document dot create element and code td. Then we write td dot inner html equal to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday C, and then we append the td table data to the table row, and then finally we append the row to the table. Now what I have done over here is I have created a for loop, and then I have a variable c which runs from 0 to 6 incremented by 1, and inside the for loop I have created an element td, and then in this line I have a string smtwtfs, which is nothing but the first letter of the days. And since this is a string, and we know that a string is nothing but an array of characters, so to access the element of the array we use the array indexing. So each time this loop runs, the elements or the letters of the day are taken out and assigned to the element td, and finally in this line the element td is appended to the table row tr, and finally when the loop ends the table row is appended to that table. We have created the first row. Now it's time for us to create the second row. Now you see the second row consists of blank space, then few numbers. So we need two for loop. The first for loop will insert the blank space, and the second for loop will insert the numbers. Now we create the second row. For that we write tr equal to document dot create element tr, and then we create a for loop which will have a var c running from 0 to 6 C++, and we break out of this for loop when c is equal to day number. If c is not equal to day number, then we create td and then we assign td in HTML to nothing, and then we append this element td to the row. So this for loop will create the blank space and we'll append it to the table row. Alright, so now we create a variable count and we set it to 1. This variable will count the number of days that we have printed. Now if you look at the calendar, you will see that we have already created the blank space, so we are left with these numbers. So for that, we write another for loop, and since we have already initialized C, so we don't have to reinitialize it, so we just set C and we run it up to 6 and then C++. Inside this for loop, we create the TD and then we assign this TD inner HTML to count, and then we increment count by 1, and then we append this TD to the table row. Finally, when this for loop ends, we append the table row, that is the second row, to the table. So after this loop ends, we'll have the second row appended to the table. Now we create the rest of the rows. Now if you look at the calendar, you'll see that we have already completed the first row and the second row. So we are left with the third, fourth, fifth and the sixth row. So for that, we'll run a for loop where r from 3 to 6 r++, inside which will create an element tr, and then we'll have another for loop where c equal to 0 to 6 c++, and then if count is greater than days, then in that case we will append the table row to the table and will return the table. And if count is not greater than days, then we'll create TD, create element TD, and we'll set the inner HTML to count, then we'll increment count by 1, and then we'll append table data to table row, and then we append the table row to the table. Now we'll call the getCalendar function. For that, we create a variable calendar and we call the function getCalendar, passing the parameters the number and days. What happens is getCalendar will return a table containing the current month's calendar, which will be stored in this variable. Okay, so now that we have done all the calculation, it's time for us to display the result. Now if you look inside the index page, you'll see that this span has an ID calendar month year, and this will display the current month and year. So for that we write document.getElementById, pass calendar date month, and we set the inner HTML to month name, this is the array, and then we set the index month, a space and here. Now to display the calendar which is stored in this variable, which will be displayed in this container having an ID calendar dates. So for that we write document dot get element by ID calendar dates dot append child calendar. Save the file and hit refresh. We have the calendar. So we'll first style the calendar container. Now if you look inside the index page, you'll see that the calendar container is an ID. So in CSS, to access an ID, we use hash. So we had hash calendar container, and we give padding of 10 pixels. We set the width to 2210, height to 10 pixels, text align center, border 1 pixel, solid triple E, border radius 10 pixels, font size 16 pixels, font family Arial, background image linear gradient triple F, D3 D3 D3. Now we style the child div inside the calendar container. For that we write calendar container div, and we set the padding to 0 and the margin bottom to 10 pixels. We'll style the span, and this has an ID calendar month year. So we'll write hash calendar month year, and we'll give a margin of 5 pixels. And now we style the table. So if you look inside the index page, the table is inside this div, and this div has an ID calendar dates. So we'll write hash calendar dates, and we'll target the table, then the row, then the detail, and we'll give a padding of, how about 5 pixels? Yeah, that's okay. That's it, we have the calendar. Alright then, we have reached the end of the video, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or query, feel free to comment. I'll respond back as soon as possible. And yes, if you want to download the project code, you can get it from my GitHub repository. The link will be in the description. And for more videos, you can visit my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Shakeel. And once again, thanks for watching, and like always, stay happy and keep smiling. Bye.